everybody. The meeting is called to order. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided with respect to the Home News Tribune to publish the same, as well as posted to the Middlesex County Board of Elections website and the Old Bridge Township Municipal webpage. Sorry about that. Webpage. This announcement must be entered into the minutes of the meeting. Roll call.
Board Commissioner Engel.
Here.
Board Commissioner Franklin. Board Commissioner Frankel.
Present.
Board Commissioner Daly. Board Commissioner Daly.
Lydia, she's present.
Okay. Board Commissioner Katz.
Present.
Board Commissioner Moskowitz.
Present.
Board Commissioner Jello.
Here.
Board Commissioner Benjavenga.
Here.
Madam Chairwoman, you have a
Commissioner Maureen Dowdy was here, is she?
She's on the screen. She was muted,
Oh,
but she
she-
was affirming
okay.
that she's
right.
present.
Okay. All right. The purpose of this meeting will be to vote on a plan to establish congressional districts in New Jersey that will be in effect for the next 10 years. Let me start the meeting. I'd like
Is
to
there
make
a
a
motion?
motion. Yeah, I'd like to make a motion. Alternate plan number 2.
Is there a second?
Do we have to make a motion to approve the minutes?
We did
Oh, I'm
that.
sorry, we skipped the minutes. And motion to adopt the minutes of January the 12th, 2022, the Ward Commission meeting. Sorry about that,
So
everybody.
moved. Second.
Second?
Second.
Roll
You have
call,
reached the
please.
maximum time permitted for recording your message. If you're satisfied with the message, press 1. To listen to your message, press 2. To erase and re-record, press 3.
Board Commissioner Engel.
Yes.
Board Commissioner Frankel.
Yes.
Board Commissioner Daly. Board Commissioner Katz.
Yes.
Board Commissioner Moskowitz.
This is the minutes, correct?
Yes. Mhm.
Yes.
Board Commissioner Jello.
Yes.
Board Commissioner Benjavenga.
Yes.
Okay, we can proceed now?
Yes, Madam Chairwoman, you can move forward with your motion.
Yes. All right, I'd like to make a motion to accept alternate plan 2 for Old Bridge. Can we have a second?
I second that.
Maria, roll call.
Board Commissioner Engel.
Yes.
Board Commissioner Frankel. Board Commissioner Frankel.
Yes.
Board Commissioner Daly.
Yep.
Board Commissioner Daly.
Commissioner Dolitty, you're on mute. There's a microphone icon at the top right of your desktop that would unmute yourself.
Can she unmute herself?
Yes. I vote yes.
Okay, no, thank you. Board Commissioner Katz.
Yes.
Board Commissioner Moskowitz.
No.
Board Commissioner Jello.
Yes.
Board Commissioner Benjavenga.
Yes.
All right, the motion is carried. Plan 2.
Yes, and Madam Chairwoman, if you would like, Nicholas Phelan from Remington Vernick can display that map and go over the details.
Yeah, I was just going to ask him to give us a description of plan to.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
All right, perfect. Let me pull up the map. This is alternate 2 for Old Bridge. Real quick, we would be taking, as soon as this wants to load, we would be taking districts 4 and 2 from Ward 5, putting them into Ward 4, and that would be moving 1,802 people from Ward 5 to Ward 2. Then we would be taking District 6 from Ward 4 to Ward 2, and that would be moving 1,486 people. So here's how the numbers would fall. Here's the reallocated 2020 census population totals per ward, and here are how the numbers would be with the changes in alternate scenario 2. All numbers are compliant, and we have a pretty good even spread. I'll just keep that there for a couple more seconds, just for everybody's purpose. Again, we'd be moving 1,802 people from Ward 5 to Ward 4, and 1,486 people from Ward 4 to Ward 2. Let me just. Okay, so let's just get my bearings real fast. I apologize. District 4 and 2 from Ward 5 to Ward 4. So that would be these two here. Would be now that border would be what used to be the border between districts 4 and 8 and 2 and 3. Would be these two districts would be moving from 5 to 4. And then we would be taking District 6. Excuse me, I'm sorry. District 6 right here from Ward 4 to Ward 2. So again, your movement is these two districts from Ward 5 to Ward 4, and this district here from Ward 4 to Ward 2. And that's how the numbers shape out.
Okay. Thank you, Nick.
any comments from the commissioners? There being none. Tom, is there any public to speak?
Yes, there are, and I am admitting people as I see them come in. Just again for members of the public, if you're in the meeting on your desktop, you can unmute yourself by hitting the microphone icon at the top right of your computer. If you're calling into the meeting by a cell phone or landline, you can unmute yourself by hitting *6. Also at the top of the screen, if you're on your desktop, is a handprint smiley face, and if you wanted to raise your hand to speak, you can hit that. But at the same time, I'll go through all those that are listed in the meeting by phone number and name to see if those individuals would want to speak. So the first person I'm going to speak to is someone who has their hand raised, and that would be Nina Joknowitz.
Good evening, commissioners, and thank you. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to address this commission tonight on the redistricting of Old Bridge. And we all appreciate, every resident of Old Bridge, I'm sure, appreciates the mindfulness, thoroughness, and dedication that each of you have given to this commission. That said, of course, there are two options, and you're speaking about option number 2 for redistricting wards because of the overpopulation in Ward 4-5. My hope is to convince you to reconsider and vote for the option number 1, because that is the best option for all voters affected and that is option number 1. The reason I ask this is due to the discrepancies in the rebalancing of voters in option number 2. Option number 2. Hold on a minute, I apologize. I know it is not your intent as commissioners to awkwardly unbalance a community. However, it would be the result. If your interest is to optimize the voter's choice, again, I would like you to reconsider. And actually, by the way, there are other ways that would have been better to distribute the voters with minimal complications in their lives. Option number 1, again, would be the best way to get an exemplary representation by participation. This adjustment would be helpful to all residents, whether they're Democrat, Republican, or Independent. Again, I do know this commission intent of this commission is to bolster the community's engagement and in the election process, and to allow the opportunity for all people to be participating in a meaningful decision for all of our communities. So again, I hope you will consider this. Thank you and have a beautiful evening. God bless you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. The next phone number would be 732-721-5600, which I believe is the Old Bridge Municipal Building. The next phone number would be 732-402-3175. The next phone number would be 732-742-8757. And again, if you're joining our meeting and you are on the phone, you could hit *6 to unmute yourself. Or if you are joining on a desktop, you can hit the microphone icon at the top to unmute yourself. Okay. Moving on. I have a phone number of 732-993-9697. Okay. Next, I have Adina Carton.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, Charlie Cradaville, editor, New Brunswick Today.
Charlie, I haven't called on you yet. Would you be able to wait until I
am 732-993-9697.
Oh, okay. Well, then fire away.
Thanks. So I do want to start with a question for you, Mr. Lynch. I know on Tuesday, January 11th, I asked that you please provide me with copies of all maps that are part of the record for each of the towns undergoing rewarding. Did you receive that email? Are you going to be able to provide those?
I did receive that email. Those maps are deliberative documents and wouldn't be shared. The final maps that would be voted on by the ward commissioners would be made available when they are certified by the state.
So I just want to be clear, it's the position of this commission that the maps that were considered and displayed on screen for folks who attended these meetings are going to be secret and won't be available to the public?
That there are deliberative documents and drafts that were not meant for public consumption except for the final drafting of the documents. Yes.
So they're not meant for public consumption, but you showed them on screen in a public meeting. I don't get it. That's a contradiction to me.
Okay.
Well, I'll move on. I would have liked to get a response to my email instead of having to be in this position right now of being told after a decision's been made that the proposals that were publicly discussed and again displayed on screen in a public meeting are going to be deemed secret documents that are not going to be shared with the public. I think that is wrong. and I do plan to continue to advocate for their release through any means that I can. I want to also, raise a concern and also, build up on the issue that I raised at the first meeting of this commission. As you know, the Ward 4 council election has been voided by a judge because 17 voters, and indeed all voters in the ward, were disenfranchised. These 17 voters got the wrong ballot, voted for a different ward than the one that they actually resided in. And I believe this stems from a systemic issue with the statewide voter registration issue, an issue that I first raised following the primary election. As some of the commissioners will remember, I experienced this myself. A member of my household went to vote in the primary and was told that she was in a different district than the correct one, and indeed voted in a different district. Thankfully, the ballots were the same, so there was no issue of disenfranchisement. But I immediately raised this to the board, and on July 8th, I received an email from Mr. Lynch telling me that the board worked with the New Brunswick municipal clerk to ensure the accuracy of the map lines, confirmed that my house is actually in New Brunswick 2-1, and corrected the registration for the person who was
Madam
inaccurate.
Chair, Madam Chair.
Sylvia, Madam Chair, Roman, you're on mute.
Who am I speaking to?
Someone
I'm
interrupted
sorry.
me. This is Charlie Cradaville. I don't know who interrupted me. May I continue?
I don't know who was it?
Where's our-
Madam Chair, this is Dan Frankel. Can you hear me?
No, I can't.
Yeah.
Okay. I would respectfully, this is a rewarding meeting specifically about rewarding the districts in Old Bridge.
Correct.
Mr. Pradville can address those at our meeting, at our public meeting, but I don't think this is the venue to do this at this time unless it relates to specifically the rewarding of Old Bridge.
Okay, we accept that.
Okay, well, I'd like to continue. I think I was getting to my point here that Mr. Lynch told me the board spent the latter parts of 2019 working with the state vendor, Remington Vernick, and they were charged with mapping and geocoding addresses and local municipal clerks to resolve the mapping discrepancies for the go live of the new SVRS system. I do want to thank Mr. Phelan for following up after the first rewarding meeting and connecting me with his superior, Mr. Zielinski. I have sent some follow-up questions about what caused these errors in Old Bridge Ward 4 that led to, again, the election being thrown out. This is a very serious matter, and now would be an appropriate time to address what caused those errors and, quite frankly, what steps are going to be taken to prevent inaccurate information from being entered into the SVRS in the future, and making sure that the wishes of this commission are carried out.
Mr. Prattville, I'd
the
like to
state.
interrupt you. We were talking about rewarding in Old Bridge, not the election.
Okay, well, I do
Furthermore,
think,
Chairman, this is Mohammed Jallo. If I can add to that, this is a ward commission comprised of more members than just the commission of the Board of Elections, and that should be considered in that regard as well. This is not the venue for this conversation. That should be at the meeting of the Board of Commissioners.
okay, well, I will see you there, and I do want to wish you all a good weekend, and, I hope that, at least Mr. Lynch can provide me with the maps that you have selected. Are those going to be public?
They will be made public when the commissioners have affixed their signatures. They've been submitted to the state, and in regards to the public notice that we made in each municipality. So they will be available just not after this meeting, because again, the signatures have not been affixed and they have been submitted to the state as of right now.
Can you give me a timeline for when I might receive these maps? I know there's a lot of folks that want to know who's affected by these changes.
I wouldn't want to put a date on it because it's my first time through this process. I would have to consult with Remington when the maps that they have affixed signatures and would be ready for us to display. So.
Okay. Well, respectfully, I hope that Remington Vernick is able to answer my questions submitted earlier today, and that they will attend the next meeting of the election board so that they can be part of the discussion about these serious problems. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Madam Chairwoman, continuing with the public comment, Miss Jill DeCaro has her hand raised in the.
Right. Yeah.
Ms. DeCaro, if you are unmuted, yes, you can unmute yourself. Thank you.
Hi, how are you? I was just wondering, you know, it was a very quick vote. I missed the meeting on Wednesday, so I guess I missed a lot of the background here. So I was just wondering if the commissioners could just, because usually in my, usually there's always a little bit of discussion after a motion, and then before the roll call, there's usually a little bit of discussion, but there wasn't any here today. So I was just wondering if the commissioners can give their rationale as to, you know, why they felt option 2 was better than option 1, or, you know, what exactly the rationale was for that vote, just for the, basically for the sake of the public that's on here today.
Does any commissioner want to speak to that issue?
Nobody? Okay.
Anybody else from the public, Tom?
Yes, continuing forward,
Nobody
Mr.
wanted to speak to it.
Eric DePalma.
No, I have no comments. As the current Ward 2 council, I'd like to thank you guys for putting thought into the rewarding, whether it was option 1 or option 2. I just wanted to thank you all.
Sure, thank you. A person with their hand raised is Matt M.
Yes, I did attend Wednesday's meeting. I found it very informative, but I want to pick up where Charlie Cradiville left off here. It is very disheartening and disappointing that the public was not able to see the background data that informs this decision, nor offer them a chance to review it. Just doesn't feel like a good faith attempt to include public participation. As for the comments Charlie made on the Ward 4 election, you wouldn't understand how bizarrely split that neighborhood is between wards unless you've lived there, which I have. So it's strange to me that the commission would vote for an alternative that did not fix the cohesion of that neighborhood when a different alternative was on the table, which would have. That's all my comments.
Okay, thank you, Matt. And again, moving on, Mr. Kevin Garcia.
No comment.
Thank you. Ms. Kimberly Mascarello.
I have no comment. Sorry, is my hand raised?
No, just calling on people as they go. And Ms. Lauren P.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. Mr. Mark Roselli.
No comment, Mr. Lynch. Thank you.
And Mr. Tony Piscati. Madam Chair, I'm seeing no further public comment.
Okay. That concludes the end of the meeting, our meeting, Board Commission meeting. So we'll adjourn.
Can I quickly get a comment in? I'm sorry.
Make a motion.
I was on
Motion.
mute.
Who?
I was on mute.
Oh,
Sylvia?
certainly. Go ahead, go right ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering if that area that I marked out on Wednesday, was that addressed or not? The area between Ward 4 and Ward 5.
Nicholas?
There's like a weird cutout.
I'm not sure which area we were talking about again.
It was
I can address that. That was part of alternative 2. That did not change in the between that submission on Tuesday and today. That remained.
Yeah, I'm wondering why. It's just kind of weird to cut into the. I'm pretty sure it's been like that for many, many years. I just wanted to get it fixed while we're doing this. This is very odd that it cuts in off of Owens Road. You know, it just cuts out like 15 houses.
Nicholas, are you looking to see what it's all about?
Yeah, I
Okay.
believe in scenario 2,
And Nick, I think if Nicole is on, maybe she wanted to address that because she had discussed that with me. I don't want to ask her to speak unless she would want to, but she did might have a comment on that.
I'm so sorry that I joined late. I had an issue with one of our contractors, so I just want to apologize to the group for joining late. I know I was going to do it via phone as I was driving, but I wound up staying a bit late in the office. I didn't hear the question. I think, Tom, were you the?
It was Tony, if you want to address that question again.
Yeah, it's just a very, very minor area and a minor issue in my mind. I was just wondering, there's a small cutout where Owens Road and Gobb Road and Throckmorton Lane are. It cuts into Heather and Alpha. It's just kind of odd, and I think it's been like that for many, many years. I just thought, you know, it's not important. It's not important to.
Councilman Biscotti, I did see that when I was looking at it as well. And as you discussed it yesterday, I was actually pointing it out to council and our township clerk. I did look back at the other iterations from years prior. It was like that, probably for equity purposes. I know that if we take that piece out of Ward 5, and I'm just, bear with me here, I'm just going to take a look back at just my markups. I'm sorry, one second.
It's okay. I mean, I know it's been like that for probably more than 10 years.
Well, what I'm saying is maybe now is the opportunity to do that, because the email that I had sent to the ward commissioners shows a lot of growth in Ward 5. So although Ward 5 has the growth in the future, and I believe is the second lowest in population, it could certainly absorb a little bit less in population. I'm not sure how much that would differ. And if you did take that out, would then that represent, because I know the difference is 1,111 that were permitted. What would be the equity between the wards if we were to remove that?
It's such a minor thing, you know. I don't want to hold up the process. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's so minor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's fine. Just for those that are on the call, and is it okay if I share? Nick, is it okay if I share?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So does everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
This
No.
is my, like, so what I did was I just did a black and white copy of this is the alt 2 scenario. And so Councilman Piscetti is talking about this little area, but you'll notice that when I had sent that email, you know, I thought, you know, collectively, right, the group that was in the room with us were preferring this alternative because the items that I had emailed to the commissioners were discussed basically internally. I left that out of the discussion when we were talking yesterday because I just thought it was too much information, but maybe a little bit valuable if any other public is on the call. The Oaks One residential development, which will be in this area, will have 1,383 units at full build out. They are now building in the rear here about 256 single family homes. That construction just started and they're gearing up on their multifamily. That's part of a GDP that has been in the works since 1983. And received approvals in 2001. So for the last 20 years, nothing has gone on that property and they just geared up. I surmise that in the next 10 years, before we look at this ward map again, they won't be at full build out. But in the census data, this right here where my hand is where that Renaissance apartment 99 Bridges, that's the 150 units. Off of Ferry Road is Avalon Bay Community, 252 units that wasn't included in the census. And they have permission to clear site and they have done that on a 55 and over 200 and I believe 33 units here off of Texas Road. So that being said, taking this yellow part out and shifting it into Ward 4 and taking this yellow out of Ward 4 into Ward 2 then creates that equity, I believe, for at least the next 10 years. So what I'm saying is this area that Councilman Piscetti is talking about, and I believe he wanted to straighten it and then come up gob, I think can easily be absorbed either way. I'm not sure, though, if it makes a difference other than to have, you know, a cleaner line, let's say. But then, you know, what do you do about this area here? You know, what do you do about, let me see if there's another area like that. No, it seems like it's probably this area down here and maybe the gob area over here, maybe this little hiccup over here. Maybe some hiccup over here where you probably want to be a little bit more congruent. Maybe this one can follow Southwood Drive instead. But I mean, certainly we could see if that can be addressed. If not, if it's too late for that, we could certainly make note of it, Councilman Piscetti, and then bring it up in the next reevaluation. If you feel that strongly about it now, we could certainly discuss further.
I don't feel strongly about it. I just brought it up just as a side note. And if you're gonna, I don't want to hold up the process. The whole idea is to move forward and not cause a hiccup here over something so minor, so
yeah.
if
So
it
I agree.
stays the way it is, that's fine.
It's certainly minor in nature, and I agree not holding up the process, and we could certainly I'm going to X out so we're not sharing anymore. I'm sure that the little hiccups like that on the map are probably done just to come a little bit closer to the population, equity between wards, from what I see.
Hi,
Nick,
Nicole.
correct me if I'm wrong.
Nicole, Nina
Yes.
Jacknowitz here. I'm really happy Councilman Piscetti brought this up. And actually, quite honestly, there's several roads that are split side by side, including Southwood. And I actually think that if you're going to bring some stuff in, some homes into 6th Ward, you should bring the entire of Southwood Road into the 6th Ward instead of having it split between Ward 5 and Ward 6. And I know this for a fact because the members of the people on the Ward 6 ward don't feel any representation by the councilman who lives on Ward 5 across the street. They've told me that, and I know that because I ran for office. And Tony can agree that as much as he'd like to be representing, he can't. So it would be really good, Nicole. And while I do understand that this commission would really like to get through this tonight, and I understand it, I think that, like I said earlier, that you guys are trying to be extremely mindful, and it's pretty obvious from the work you've done, Nicole and Nicholas and everybody else on this project, and to reconsider and hold off on a final decision until even a next meeting to look at some possible alternatives. I mean, to imagine right now, Nicole, and everybody else on the meeting, I know that Councilman De Palma's there, Councilman Pischetti is there, and you mentioned Councilman Garcia, although he didn't identify himself as the councilman. The three of them are on this meeting at this time, and I'm sure that everybody here in Old Bridge would rather you wait until after March 22nd, after the election, because this may compound, although not going to affect the vote for March 22nd, but this may compound what's coming up in the election that was compromised due to a fault somewhere in the system, which misdirected voters to the wrong ward for the election. And so it might be conducive for this committee to really reconsider the timing of this, to reconsider even one more, if you can't, and I see Nicole, I see your face up, like going, you're thinking.
I mean, certainly good points, but can I just make one recommendation? You know, the people that live in certainly Ward 5 and the area that Councilman Pischetti had, offered before, that is, and I like to say a lot of Old Bridge residents like to stay here. They have been, that line has been there. So they're used to that. Why change it for them and have disruption at the next election? Because they are used to that. Nothing has changed in this map, from the last iteration.
Except you're absolutely right, and I don't mean to disparage anything that you've done. I mean, honestly, I'm happy that you're having this discussion. What I'm trying to do is open up your eyes, because I did actually walk the entire 6th ward, and I walked a portion of the 5th ward because 5th and 6th overlap, as you know. And I know that there's confusion. There was even confusion for the mapping that was given to me by the county, the list of the voter registration. So I can tell you from my experience, I was hoping perhaps you might consider if you could put an extension on this vote. I know that you voted for 2, but I was hoping you might reconsider waiting, just putting this on hold, and at least until another date to further this discussion in a mindful, professional, as you've already been, manner, to get this right, because obviously that's what all of you folks want to do. You want to get this right for every single person in Old Bridge, the 70,000 residents. While they're not all affected by this change, clearly, that it would be really lovely if you could give them the opportunity. And I'm only speaking as an individual unelected to office, at least in council office, but as an individual within the township, just requesting that you reconsider the timing.
Okay. Madam Chairwoman?
Yes, we have a deadline we have to meet too.
Okay, so you have a deadline. When's your deadline?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow is the deadline. You mean you cannot extend it to the 31st even of this month?
Correct.
Instead, could you?
I think
look
you
at
already
the
have a
second-
motion
the
and a
other
second.
option?
Yeah, we have a motion already on number 2, scenario number 2, which has passed.
No, we have voted on number 2. We have voted to approve number 2.
Correct.
Yes.
We voted to approve the number 2 scenario. So
Right.
we have voted.
Yes, Mr. Frankel, Chairman Frankel, I understand that. I think that was Chairman Frankel, right? I can't see who it is. I apologize. I'm only asking you to reconsider again. And maybe it would be out of scope too, but again, because it's certainly a very complicated thing, and every single one of you obviously are trying to be as mindful as possible. Even if you can wait till tomorrow and then we can relook over the maps, and maybe I can discuss it with Nicole. Nicole, I know it's your weekend, right?
But,
Come
here. Mickey, come to see Daddy. Come on, Mickey. Mickey,
I'm not, it's not me talking in the background to any animal or child. I apologize. But anyway, I understand that you have a deadline.
Yes, we do.
But I,
Madam Chairwoman, would you accept a motion?
A motion for what? Can you read it to me? I didn't hear it.
No.
I was muted, I guess.
Do you want to continue discussion, or do you want to entertain a motion to adjourn?
No, we're going to have a motion to adjourn. We have already voted.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call?
Board Commissioner Engel,
Yes.
Board Commissioner Frankel,
Yes.
Board Commissioner Doolittle,
Yes.
Board Commissioner Cat. Board Commissioner Cat. Board
Okay.
Commissioner Moskowitz.
Yes.
Commissioner Jallo.
Yes.
Board Commissioner Benjavenga.
Yes.
The meeting is adjourned.